Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be making our dinosaur Easter bunny who has a little headband with the bunny ears, a little pom-pom tail, some spikes, and a little snout. And then if you want to, you can always add on the little tooth. But let's jump right in and start going over what materials we're going to need. So here is my first color. It's the main color I'm using for the body and most of the body parts. And the color I have here is Tea Leaf, and I'm just using Red Heart Super Saver for all my yarns. So this is the second color green, which is a darker green, that I'm using for the spikes down the back of the dinosaur. Plain white for the bunny ears and the little pom-pom tail. Then the final color is pink for the headband. Polyfill, or you can use yarn or any other kind of stuffing, a pair of scissors, and then the hook I'm using is a 3.5mm hook. I'm using safety eyes, but you can also use felt or just embroider on the eyes. I already pre-made the pom-pom for the tail, and then I've got a stitch marker. So we've got all our materials. Let's jump in and start with the head and body, which is one continuous piece. So we're going to start off with our magic ring. And in our magic ring, we're going to crochet 6 single crochets. There's 3, 4, 5, 2, and 6. And we're going to pull that tight, but not too tight, to make it easy to get into that first stitch. So we've got our first row done, which is our magic ring. In row 2, we're going to go ahead and increase from 6 single crochet to 12. And we're going to do that by increasing in each one of the stitches. So we're going to crochet 2 single crochet in each of the 6 stitches on our magic ring. There's 4, 6, 8, 10, and our last one is 12. Now that we've got our 12 stitches going all the way around, we can pull this a little tighter. And that'll really close that little center gap up. And then we're done with round 2, and we're on to another increase from 12 single crochet to 18. So you'll see I added my stitch marker in, and that's just to help me keep track a little better of where the beginning and ends of these rounds are going. And in this one, we're going to increase from 12 stitches to 18. And we're going to do that by increasing in every other stitch. So in the first one, and I'm going to actually start incorporating my tail in just so I can get that out of the way. But in the first one, I'm going to increase, and in the next stitch, just a single crochet. So we'll do 2 single crochets in this stitch and 1 single crochet in the next. And we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around for our increase. And I'm just trying to keep that little tail, whoops, trying to get that little tail to go in too. So let's see here. We've got our increase and a single crochet. Wow, today this is some slippery yarn. Okay, let's try that again. And let me make, let's try that one more time. Okay, so I've got, that was an increase, so this is just a single crochet. And then do an increase, a single crochet, our final increase for this round, which is round 3. And then we're going to pop out our stitch marker and place our last single crochet. And so that ends round 3. I'm going to 18 stitches from our previous 12. Row 4 will be increasing once again, and this will be from 18 stitches to 24, and we'll do that by increasing in our first stitch and then single crocheting 1 in the next 2 stitches. So let me do that again. We've got an increase and then a single crochet and a single crochet. Okay, this really is the slipperiest yarn ever today. There we go. One more time. We've got an increase, a single crochet in the next stitch, and a single crochet in the next stitch. And that's just the pattern. Will work all the way around. And let's see if I can make it through the rest of this row or round with without losing any more. Nope, I cannot. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this tea leaf yarn is just really giving me a hard time today, and I don't remember it being this slippery when I actually was working on the little dinosaur, but today it is absolutely giving me a fight. Okay, made it around. And so now we have 24 stitches in round 4, and then we'll increase in our next round up to 30. We're on round 5 and we're increasing to 30 stitches. So we're going to do that by putting 2 single crochet into the first stitch and then 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. And we'll follow that pattern all the way around, and that'll take us from 24 to 30. And I've just been really noticing that this is some noisy yarn. And I just lost track. Okay, there we go. I watch so many other people do these tutorials and they make it look so easy. And so I always think, oh, I can do that. And then once I get on here, I am struggling. Okay, we'll just keep going. I love stitch markers because sometimes I can sidetrack myself just in my thoughts, and the next thing I know I'm trying to figure out where I was. Yeah, we're almost all the way around. Got an increase, 3 single crochets, our final increase, and 3 single crochets. All right, we're at the end, and I didn't have too many struggles this time. Okay, and then we are on to our next increase. Okay, we're on our final increase for a little while, and we'll be increasing from 30 stitches to 36 stitches. And we're going to increase in our first stitch, and then just single crochet 1 in the next 4 stitches. So the patterns for increases are usually pretty simple, but I do like to just go over them just in case somebody's still learning and getting used to crocheting amigurumi. So there's 2. Okay, so let me make sure I got that. There's my increase and 4. Okay, so let's just keep going around, and then we'll have a little break from increases for a little while. Hopefully be able to get through this pretty quickly. I'm going through this tutorial a little bit quicker just because not only is there the dinosaur, but there's a lot of little extra parts, and I just don't want this to take forever, which I think it probably already will. And then we're on our final increase. And then 4 single crochets. And that's going to take us from 30 crochets to 36. So, all right, you had to fight me on the last stitch, didn't you? There we go. Got it. Okay. And save that little stitch. Come on. Ta-da! There we go. Got it. Okay, so we are going to get ready to move on to rounds 7 through 12. And those are really easy because those are just single crochets all the way around. We are now on rounds 7 through 12. And these are going to be really simple. So we're just going to single crochet in each of the stitches. So we're going to remain at a stitch count of 36. So if you've got some music or videos to watch, this would be a great time. That's what I like to do during these rows. It's nice because you don't have to count, you don't have to worry about increases. You can just go ahead and relax and just continue on. And I'm going to go through, if I can, if I can't go through, there we go. Go through this first one with you, and then I will meet you back up after we get through round 12. And so we're just going to finish up round 7, and then off camera I'll just complete the next 5 rounds. And so we are doing great. We've got quite a bit of this already accomplished, and there is a total for the head and body of 20 rounds, and we will be over halfway through once we get through all of these single crochet rows. So I am here at the end, and then what I'll do is I'll just meet up with you once we have our final row of 12 complete. Okay. And then you'll start to notice that while working on these rows, you're going to start noticing it starts to curve into a bowl shape, and that's what we want because that'll help create the shape of the head. We've now completed rows 7 through 12, and we're on to row 13, which will be our first decrease round. And we're going to decrease from 36 stitches down to 30. And I do invisible decreases, and how I do that is I go through the first front loop, the second front loop, I go through those 2 stitches on the hook and through the next 2. And then we single crochet 1 in the next 4 stitches. And I'll show you that invisible decrease again. So just going through the front loop on the first stitch, the front loop on the second stitch, I pulled through those 2 loops and then pulled through the 2 remaining on the hook. And that's an invisible decrease. But you can do your decreases however works best for you. And then we'll just complete the pattern all the way around, bringing us down to 30 single crochets in the round. And there we go. And then once we get done with this round, I'm going to put in the safety eyes. And I can show you when I put mine in the location on the head where I put those in. And that way, if that's an area that you would like to put yours in as well, you'll be able to see. Otherwise, you can definitely embroider the eyes or just use pieces of felt. And those work just fine, especially if it's for a small child and you just don't know if the safety eyes are going to be secure enough. That's a much better way to go. I get my safety eyes off of Amazon, and so far they've held up really well, but then again, I've never really given them to any of my things I've made to a small child who's chewed on them, so I don't know if they ever would come out, and I'm a little hesitant to take the chance. So let me get that one more time. Can't have a row where it doesn't pop off the hook. And there we go. So we are down to 30 stitches, and I'll go ahead next and show you how to place the safety eyes. For my safety eyes, I like to place them between rows 9 and 10. So I can just count down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'll place them right along this row. And we'll pop the first one in. And then I'm just going to kind of take my next one and maybe count like 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll place the second one right in there. And that gives me enough room to work in the snout. So we'll just pop those backs on, and then we'll continue on to row 14, where we'll decrease from 30 stitches to 24. Okay. And there we go. We'll move on to our next round. I have my stitch marker back in, and I'm ready to decrease down to 24 stitches. So we're going to do that by our invisible decrease with the first 2 stitches, and then single crochet 1 in the next 3 stitches. And then one more time, we'll do the invisible decrease, and then 3 single crochet. It is going to be this way for almost every round. There we go. I don't know what has changed, but every round I'm having trouble with everything sliding off my hook. Okay. And I really like the invisible decreases. I think they do a really good job as far as kind of keeping it from adding any extra little holes where the stuffing is easy to see, especially when you got white stuffing against a darker colored yarn. And 2, 3. This should be our final decrease in our round. And then 1, whoops, 2, and then, so the last one, 3. And now we are down to 24 stitches going around, and we'll do our next decrease, which will go from 24 down to 18. Okay, we're on round 15, and we're going to do our invisible decrease, and then just 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And so this one should go by pretty quickly as our stitch decrease, or stitches decrease as we go along. And there we go. And then after this one, we'll do an increase, but we'll be doing that in the front loops only. And that'll be our final increase. So we are moving right along. We're on round 15 out of 20, so not much more to go. Then we'll have the head and body all taken care of, and the little additional parts None of those are hard or take long. There's just multiple of them. So that's the only thing that's kind of time consuming with those. Okay. So there's the end of round 15, and we'll get ready to start on round 16, where we'll do an increase from 18 stitches to 27. So we're ready for our final increase, and we're going to be doing this in the front loops only. So instead of going through both loops on the stitch, we're just going to go through the front loop, and our pattern is going to be increase in the first and single crochet in the second, working in the front loops only. And that'll get us from 18 stitches to 27. And let's just keep going with that pattern. And this will give us a nice separation from the head to the body. And then after this row of increases, it'll be another, looks like a series of just single crochet around. And we'll do that for 5 rounds. So if you've got some more music to listen to or more videos, this would be a great time to turn those back on. Try not to grab both loops out of habit. And so there we go. Increase and single crochet. Grab some more yarn. It's amazing that these small little projects can still use so much yarn. And there we go. Okay, our last increase. And the last single crochet for this row. Oh, you had to get me at the very end. I thought I made it. All right. Come on. And then when you're looking inside, you'll be able to see a little ridge all the way around from where you were working, just in the front loops only. Okay, so we've got our row of increases in the front loops only completed, which was row 16. And now we're going to move on to the next 5 rows where it'll be single crochet only. So here we are ready to do our rows of single crochet, and that'll be 27 stitches all the way around, so we're not increasing or decreasing, and we are working in both loops. Now, one thing I did realize is when I was saying that we had a total of 20 rows for the head and body, I was not counting these rows individually. So after we get done with working through rows 17 through 21, we will have 3 more rows. So there's a total of 24 altogether to make the head and body. I was just counting this section as one. So sorry about that, but it still won't take long to get through. So we'll just get through this first row of single crochet together, and then we'll meet up at the end of row 21 to do our final decreases for the body. So if you have some more music or more videos to watch, this will be another good opportunity to turn those back on. And during my last group of single crochet rows, I got done watching the Weird History channel on YouTube, and they were doing a recap of 1990, and then they'll end up going through the whole decade of the 90s. But it was actually kind of interesting to see all the things either I didn't even realize or I had forgotten about. And they had a few old commercials that showed prices, and I was just like, oh, I'll take those prices again. So let's finish up around 17, and then we'll meet back up for the last decreases once we're done with round 21. Okay, last stitch, and then I'll meet you back here. Now that we have rows 17 through 21 completed, and we're getting ready to do our last 3 rows, which are decreases, I want to get everything stuffed. And that way, as we decrease, if there's any stuffing left to do, we can just add a little more as we go. So we'll just start placing quite a bit of stuffing, because these things always take more than you expect. And then it's up to you as far as how firm or squishy you want to have your little dinosaur. So we will get this in here, and there will be opportunity to stuff it some more before we get it completely closed. So right now I'm just getting the head stuffed pretty firmly, and then I will have a good part of the body filled, but enough room to still work. And so got it. He's kind of squishy, but still has some firmness. And then from there, we'll start our decrease. For row 22, we're going to decrease from 27 stitches down to 18. And our pattern for that will be our decrease, and then 1 single crochet. And that's all it'll take for our pattern to get us down to 18 stitches. I'll give myself a little more room. And you may need to kind of work around the stuffing if it starts to pop up on you. I know mine is. I'm going to push some of that down and then keep going around. And let's get our decrease and a single crochet. And then the next 2 decreases go really quickly. The less you have, the less it takes to work through it. Okay, got it. Last decrease. And last single crochet. And that'll finish up for round 22. On row 23, we're going to decrease from 18 down to 12, and it'll actually be the same pattern. We're going to go ahead and do our invisible decrease and then a single crochet. And we'll just repeat that pattern. And then as you're decreasing and you want to continue adding more stuffing, you can definitely do that. That way you can get the stuffing as firm as you want your little dinosaur to be. And you'll have that opportunity on the final decrease round as well. Okay, so it's again just the same pattern. Do a decrease and then a single crochet. And that'll take us down to from 18 stitches down to 12. And there's our last single crochet. And then here's a good opportunity. Take a little time to maybe add some more stuffing, and then we'll come back and we'll do our final decrease. I've got a little more stuffing added in, and now for our final decrease, we're just going to decrease 6 times, just one decrease right after another. And once you get about 6 times of decreasing, that'll pretty much close everything up and just give you a little bit of space left for sewing or adding any more stuffing that you would like to add before you sew it all up. You pop out the stitch marker And you can always decrease again to have less sewing to close up, but I'll stop here, and then that'll give me a chance to see if I need any more stuffing. And then, yep, it looks like I could use a little bit more. And then after that, we'll just sew this closed, and we're all done with the head and body. And then we can start with all the arms, feet, tail, and accessories. Okay, we'll do a slip stitch to fasten off, and then we'll cut a long piece of yarn, probably not so long because I'll show you, about this long, and that way we have some yarn for sewing up that remaining gap. And the way I do it is I just go through the front loop all the way around, and then once I get all the way around, I just pull it closed and kind of cinch it so it's tight. And then just put my yarn in through a few times just to secure. And then we can just cut that remaining bit off, and then just kind of squeeze it, and it'll tuck the remaining little piece right in, and we're all set with our head and body. And the next thing we're going to work on are the arms, and then after that, the feet. For the arms, we're going to work on making a magic ring, and the arms and feet are nice and easy. For the arms, we're just going to single crochet 4 into our magic ring. And then pull it tight, but not too tight. And then we're going to increase in the first stitch. And I know it's kind of tight area to work with only 4 of those stitches. But we're going to increase in the first stitch, single crochet in the next. Yikes, it came off again. There we go. We're going to do an increase in the next stitch, and then in the last stitch, a single crochet. Just kind of turn it so it kind of pops up. We'll just do a slip stitch, and that's all it takes for the arms. They're quick and easy, and then we'll just make one more, and then we'll get those attached. And to show you, I just start mine right here on that ridge between the neck and the head and the body, kind of right on the neck, and then just sew all the way around. The one nice thing about amigurumi is it's a very forgiving type of craft. So it doesn't take a whole lot to make it look good. So we'll just get that sewn through. And I usually just come up through the front loop, go back down the next front loop, and then go in through the body. And I'll just do that all the way around until the arm is nice and secure, and then just pull my yarn through the body a few times just to secure the yarn. And so, well, it's not perfect, but he's still cute. And so next we'll work on the feet, and they're just as easy. For the feet, we're just going to make our magic ring one more time. And we're going to crochet 5 single crochets into our magic ring. And this is just so the feet will be bigger than the hands on our little dinosaur. I'm kind of thinking in terms of a T-Rex. Okay, we'll pull that closed with our 5 stitches. And then for this one, we'll just increase in all 5 stitches. So we'll go from 5 to 10. Maybe I pulled that a little tight. There we go. There's 2. 4, 6, 8, and then 10. And so we'll pull this a little tighter to close up that gap. Now you can stop right here, or you can go around one more time with one single crochet in each stitch, which is what I'm going to do just to give it a little bit bigger look. And then after we finish this one, we'll make one more and get those sewn on. And once we've got our feet sewn on, then our next project is the tail. Now with this one, you can definitely put the little leftover yarn tail in for stuffing, but you'll probably need just a little more stuffing just to keep the shape, to have it kind of pop out. And back on there. And our last single crochet, and then we'll just fasten off and leave a tail for sewing. And like I said, once you get it kind of all in shape, you can definitely put your little leftover yarn in, but it may take just a little bit more. But we'll get that onto our little dinosaur, and we'll have both feet attached and then work on the tail for the next part. So his feet are all attached, and where I like to start with the feet on mine are just a little lower on the bottom of the body, and then come up around, and then you can usually see about a stitch between, or a row between the hands and the feet. And the sewing of these is the same as you would for the arms. You just place it on and then just go all the way around. And once you've got your 2 feet on, we're ready to start onto the tail. The tail, we're going to start with our magic ring. And then we're going to crochet 4 single crochets into our ring. And there's 4. We're going to increase in the next round from 4 to 6. And then we'll just do an increase in the first stitch, a single crochet in the second, an increase in the third stitch, and then a single crochet into the fourth, and that'll give us a total of 6 single crochets going around. And then in our next row we'll increase from 6 to 8. Okay, in row 3 we're going to go ahead and increase from 6 single crochet to 8, and we're going to do that by increasing in our first stitch, and then single crochet in the next 2. And then we'll just repeat that one more time. We'll do an increase, and then a single crochet in the next 2. And that'll be all it takes for row 3. And we'll do our next increase of from 8 to 10 in row 4. Okay, row 4, we're going to go from 8 single crochet to 10, and it's pretty much the same style of pattern. We're going to increase in the first stitch, and then single crochet 1 in the next 3 stitches, and then just repeat that pattern one more time. And I'm actually going to start just incorporating my tail in. So we'll do an increase, and then 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. And then we'll be on to our last increase for the tail, and that'll be going from, oh gosh, okay, come on, come on. I just couldn't make it. There we go. That'll be going from 10 single crochets to 12. Okay, for the tail, we are on to row 5, and we're going to increase from 10 to 12. So it's the same type of pattern. There's an increase in our first stitch, and then a single crochet in the next 4 stitches. And then repeat that one more time. We've got an increase, and then single crochet 1 in the next 4 stitches. And that will be the end of our increases for the tail. And then the next 3 rows will just be a single crochet in each of the stitches around and staying at 12 stitches. So we are on rows 6 through 8, and what we're going to do with these rows is we're just going to single crochet 1 in each of the 12 stitches. So we'll just keep our stitch count at 12. And I'm going to work with you through rows, just through row 6, and then I'll meet you back after row 8, and then all we have to do is just stuff the tail and get the tail placed onto the little dinosaur butt, and he will be just coming along really nicely. Okay, so here is the end of row 6, and then we will meet back at the end of row 8. Okay, we're all done with our rows for the tail, and we're just going to fasten off, and just by doing a slip stitch in the next stitch, cutting a length for our tail, and just pull our hook right out. I've got some stuffing, and we can just get this stuffed as firm as you'd like. I usually do mine pretty firm because mine don't ever really get used. Anything I make, it just ends up sitting on a shelf or going in a little bin, just kind of tucked away. So for me, I like to stuff them a little firmer. It just makes sewing some of the accessories or other parts on just a little easier for me. So I'll put a little bit more stuffing in mine. And again, that's where this thing really comes in handy. I can just really tuck stuff in there. It's kind of an odd tool, but one day I was in the Dollar Tree and I found a pack of 4 of these, and I was like, I wonder if that would work, and it has. So I've just kind of kept with it. Okay, so now we're just gonna sew the tail on, and as you can see where I've got the tail sewn on, it just kind of starts at the very edge of the bottom and then kind of comes up, and then there's about 2 stitches between the top of the tail and where the head and body meet, and that's where I'm going to place this one as well. So I'm going to get this sewn on, and then I'll meet you back here and we'll talk about working on the final parts. So here I've got quite a bit of this little guy done, and the remaining parts are of course all optional. If you want to put the little snout on, that'll be the next thing we're going to work on, and then we'll basically be done with everything in this color, in the main color. The spikes, again, an optional, but I'll show you how to make those, and then they just get sewn spaced out along the back, and then I've got one on the tail. And then the last part will be making, I'll show you how to make one of the ears and then the headband, and then we can get everything all put together and have him all done. And then the other option is if you want to give him like a little tooth or anything, or maybe 2 little sharp pointy teeth coming down. But everything here will be optional, so you can design how you want your little dinosaur to look. But I'll take you through each of the remaining parts next. So our next part is going to be the snout, and what we're going to do to make this is we're going to start off with our magic ring, and we are going to crochet 4 single crochet, oops, into our magic ring. Pull that closed, and then we're going to increase from 4 to 6, and by doing that we'll just increase into the first stitch, single crochet 1 into the next stitch, increase into the third stitch, and then single crochet, whoops, it's always one, gotta have one. Okay, and then that'll give us 4, starting off with 4, and then we'll end with, we'll have an end total, there we go, an end total of 6. And from here we're going to do a little bit different as far as our increases, and what we'll do is I'll walk you through this to increase it, because we're going to go from a circle more out to an oval. So in our next, or I should say the first stitch of our next round, we're going to increase, and then we're going to increase in the next stitch, and then we're going to single crochet, and then we're going to increase in the next stitch, increase again in the next stitch, and then single crochet, and that'll give us more of an oval shaped. And then after we're done with that, we'll just increase, or I'm sorry, we're not going to increase, we're going to just single crochet 1 all the way around. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there you go, 9, and then our last one will be 10. So it'll be 10 stitches all the way around. And then we can just fasten off. Oh, I'd love to go back and count how many times this has happened to me, that they just keep falling off. Okay, so, and then we're gonna slip stitch to fasten off. There we go. And this is going to give us more of a oval shape, and it'll fit pretty well right in between the 2 eyes. And then you can kind of just stuff it as much or as little as you want, depending on how far you want it to stick out. And so we'll go ahead and get that put on next. For the snout, I went ahead and put the little tail from my yarn in there to kind of add some more filler, and then a little bit of stuffing, and that gave me the amount of, well, what would you call it, height that I'm looking for. And so I'm going to go ahead, and when I sew mine on, I'm going to start with the yarn at the bottom and then just work my way around, and I'm going to go right up to the eyes. So when I put them on, it'll be right up against, and I'll show you on this one so you can kind of see where I start and finish. So I started around and then worked my way around and came up right to the eyes. Now of course that's just my preference. You can place yours further down or however you want, just to get it just the way you want it, but that's where I've been putting mine. And I'm going to go ahead and get mine attached now. Okay, well mine didn't quite come around to the eyes as much on my second one, but yeah, I've got it close and I still like the way it looks. And after getting these on, I was seriously wondering if they're even called snouts on dinosaurs. But we've got them all set, and the next thing we can work on if you want to add yours on, is we'll work on the spikes. I'll show you how to make one, and then you can just make as many or as few as you want if you want to add those on, and they're real simple to make. And then we'll meet up here in just a moment. I'll get all this stuff ready to make the spikes. So we are on to our darker green yarn, and hopefully less slippery yarn, and we're going to start off making a magic ring. And this is also really simple. Oops, let me restart my magic ring. And also a really simple little part to make. It doesn't take much at all to get these made up quickly. So we're going to go ahead and single crochet 4 into our magic ring. We'll pull this close, and then we'll increase in our first stitch. And we're going to increase from 4 single crochets to 6. So we'll do an increase in our first stitch, a single crochet in our second, nope, still slippery, an increase in our third stitch, and a single crochet in our fourth. And on our final round, it'll also be an increase, and we'll increase from 6 single crochet to 8. So we'll increase in our first stitch and get through there. Oops, yep, still slippery. Okay, and then we'll single crochet in the next stitch and a single crochet in the third stitch, and then we'll repeat the pattern. So we'll just do an increase, and then a single crochet. Oh goodness, come on, turn with me. And then a single crochet. So we went from 6 stitches to 8. We can then just fasten off, and we'll cut some yarn off for a tail for sewing. And then with this, we can just go ahead and trim this down. We don't need really anything inside this as far as stuffing, because we're going to pinch it flat and then just crochet around it. So when it goes on, it's just a flat piece right up against the body. So there's no need for stuffing in this. And then you can make as many or as few as you would like. I have 5 on mine, and that's what I'll probably end up doing with the one I'm working on. So I'll be back after I get 4 more of these made. So here is our little, not dragon, but our little dinosaur with all of his spikes. And I'm so sorry about the lighting. I tell you, so many times I start making these videos and it's nice and cloudy out, and then the sun just decides, oh, well, now I'll shine. So we've got this all completed, and you can stop right here if you just want to have yourself a little dinosaur. But if you want to turn him into a little dinosaur with bunny ears and a tail, we'll go ahead and we'll go start working on the headband with the rabbit ears, and then with the pom-pom. I used a pom-pom maker that Clover provides, and then that's just how I made my pom-pom up. But you can definitely do that with a fork. There's tutorials where you can just take your kitchen fork and make little pom-poms from there. And so I did get mine pre-made. It's not looking too good, and it's got some more trimming to do, but I will show you as far as the pom-pom, how it just goes right on to the end of the tail. And right now we'll start working on the headband. So this is where we're going to use the pink yarn, and we're going to go ahead and make a slip knot. And that's, for me to make one, I just go over my index finger once and then twice, bring the first loop over the second, and then just pull off the second loop and then just put my hook right in through the little hole right there. And what we're going to do for our headband is we are going to chain 21. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Grab some more yarn. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Now I did not make my chain very tight, and the reason that I made my chain a little looser was because we are going to be working in these back bumps, or the back ridge of the chain. And what we're going to do is in the second chain from the hook, we're going to go into that back ridge and we're just going to slip stitch. And that's what we're going to do all the way down. And that's through all 20 of the chains. Just that little back bump. And the tighter you have your chain when you make it, the harder it can get to get into that back bump. Now if you don't want to do this, you can definitely just go right down the chain normally and just do a slip stitch. But for me, I just think this gives the headband just a little bit neater of a look. So I'm going to go ahead and finish going down the rest of these little back bumps, and I will meet back up with you at the end. So here we have the little dinosaur with the very fashionable headband, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make one of the ears. I'll walk you through the steps and we'll make the first one together, and then I'll meet you up after the second one. So let's get started on the first ear. And with the first ear, we're going to make our magic ring. And this one's going to start off like so many other ones that we've done. We're going to go ahead and place 4 single crochet into our magic ring. I'll bring that. And then we're going to increase from 4 stitches to 6. So we'll do our pattern of, we're going to place an increase into the first stitch. It's just not my day. Okay, and then a single crochet into the second, an increase into the third stitch, and then a single crochet into our last stitch. So that gives us 6 single crochet all the way around, and then we're going to increase in our third row up to 8. Okay, so we're going to increase from 6 single crochet in our third round to 8, and we'll just go ahead and we'll increase into our first stitch, single crochet into our second, single crochet into our third, do an increase in our fourth stitch, and then we'll single crochet into our fifth stitch and a single crochet into our final stitch. And that'll give us a total of 8 single crochet all the way around. And now we're going to increase from 8 into 12, and that'll be in our fourth row. So in our fourth row for the bunny ear, we're going to increase from 8 single crochet to 12, and we're going to do that by doing the pattern of an increase in our first stitch and a single crochet in the next. And that'll be our pattern all the way around. Just an increase in our first stitch and a single crochet in the next. And that'll bring us up to 12 stitches. Okay, and here's our last increase and our last single crochet. And then in the next 3 rows, we're going to just single crochet 1 in every stitch. So we'll stay at a stitch count of 12. Okay, we're ready to work on rows 5 through 7, and those are just single crochets in each stitch. And I will work through the first row with you and then meet you back after we get through with row 7. And then there will just be 2 decrease rows after that, and that's all it takes to make the ears. So we have really done great getting this little guy worked up. Okay, so almost done with row 5, and then I'll meet you back after we get 2 more rows completed. For round 8, we're going to decrease from 12 stitches down to 8 stitches, and we're going to do our decrease and then a single crochet, and that's what we're going to do all the way around. We'll have a decrease and our single crochet, and this should go pretty quickly. And then we'll have 1 more row, and that will be a decrease as well, and we'll be going from 8 single crochet down to 6, and then that'll be all it takes for the ear. And our last single crochet. Okay, for our final round for the ear, we're going to decrease down to 6 stitches from 8, and our pattern will be, we're going to decrease in our first stitch and then single crochet in the next 2, and then we'll just do that one more time. We'll do a decrease and then a single crochet in the next 2. About the stitch marker, put in our last, whoops, yeah, I just can't get through without having something slip off. There we go, and we've got our decrease done, and then what we'll do is we'll just slip stitch, cut off a tail, that way we can sew the ear onto the little headband, and once we get our second ear made, we'll meet back and get those placed onto the headband. So I've got the first ear attached, and how I like to place mine is kind of halfway between the middle of the head the middle of the headband and the end of the headband. Now you can definitely place yours closer together, but this is the look of when they're placed about halfway between. So any way you do it is gonna turn out looking really cute. Okay, and I thought to show the tail a little bit better, I would just go ahead, oh, the camera's shaking, and show you how I just kind of pull it through and pull it tight. And then just kind of bring the yarn through a couple times through the body. And there's the first tail, and then I'll do that again with the second tail. Just come through that little hole right at the bottom, and then just pull tight and just kind of bring the yarn a couple times through the little dinosaur, just to make sure it stays on. Now that's not to say if you pulled on it really hard it couldn't just come right off, but it does keep it on there pretty secure. Just gonna squish him, and there we go. We have, in horrible lighting, 2 little dinosaur Easter bunnies with their tails. And so these would make a really good addition to an Easter basket or just a little extra gift to give at Easter time if you're looking for an alternative to all the candy that everybody's going to be getting anyway. So I hope this was a nice tutorial for you. I hope that you were able to make one of these yourselves. And if you do make one, I'd love for you to send me a photo of it onto my Instagram, and I'll place that down into the description below. And I'd love to see if you make one of these and how it turned out. Thank you so much if you've stuck with this tutorial this whole time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.